What's up guys, Technical Tinkers here, checking in on our little 3D print operation for today. I'm a business owner and my business has nothing to do with 3D printing, but I got interested in the process, so I'm trying it here at home, seeing if I can learn about 3D printers. I learn about e-com with these various 3D printed products, functional prints, art prints, things of that nature. So I'm blogging it every day. Join along in the fun, subscribe to the channel, I do giveaways and things like that. Maybe you can learn something, or better yet, maybe you can teach me something. So what am I working on today? Well, if you've been following the channel, you know I got a bunch of various potpourri of things going on here. So I'm gonna pull some stuff off the plates and let's see what we got. All right, so up here on Cobra 2, our hideaway sort of concept, a live plate pull. Let's see how it came off. All right, the bottom, again, a little over extrudy, under extrudy here on this one section. But overall, the finish seems pretty fine. You can obviously tell I had a filament change somewhere in the night. And so we're gonna go take this inside, match it up to our air register, because this is entering the sort of the final stage. I don't know about the final stages, the mid stages maybe. Down here, something a little interesting on Cobra 4. So I've got those big Colt Pythons and I haven't listed one of them yet. And I'm like, you know, I gotta list that thing. But what I really wanna do is pack it in the box so I know precisely how much it's gonna cost to ship, so I can price it appropriately, because I can just throw things out there. But those things, hundreds of dollars for an art print, you know, you kind of got to get your pricing as low as you sort of can within reason, because, you know, 1 or 2 inches the wrong way and your shipping cost suddenly is $100 more, and suddenly you just lost money on a big print. So what I wanted to do was pack it up in a box and know exactly how much it costs to ship, price it, and so forth. Problem is I don't want to go out and buy boxes that are just big enough to ship that thing. So I bought flats, these big flat pieces of cardboard. I'm going to kind of make my own box, but it won't stay rigid. So I printed these corner brackets that will kind of, I can set where I need them to go, and this will keep the box rigid for shipping, and that way I can make it as sort of as small as possible. It's just an idea really. So this is just very simple square rectangle primitives that I threw together. So I'm going to pull these off and then kind of tinker around with that a little bit. Up here on the Soval, we had sort of a well, not sort of a fail. I was trying to do a D20 cube on the Soval, the chamfered D20, the one I had more success with, but with the like a 0.28 layer height, this overhang here, let's see if will it? Come on, baby. It's not gonna do it. All right, so I had, well, failure here on the overhangs. It's just too steep of an overhang for this layer width. So I'm gonna have to figure something out there. I'm not sure exactly why I was doing that. I was doing it all the way around. It's running nice and hot too. I think it's just too steep of an overhang. So maybe some increased supports, but we'll get that one going again. No harm, no foul there. But what about this damn Giga? All right, so if you saw yesterday's video, I had the big spaghetti sea anemone thing come out. And so I restarted the print, same thing happened, but quicker this time. And I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to add some more supports. Added more supports, manual supports, again with that. And so I'm looking at it and kind of, I've sussed out, I've determined that it's bed adhesion. And that's kind of odd to me, because every print I've had on the Giga has had 0 issues with bed adhesion whatsoever, but suddenly bed adhesion is an issue. So I'm thinking like, and a lot of people suggest that I use hairspray or glue sticks or 3D print bed adhesion spray and stuff like that. And I see other people using it and just, it seems messy. You know, and I don't want to say that I'm ruling it out or I know better, because I obviously don't. But I'd really like to get around that and not have to do that if I don't have to. Because I don't want to be spraying hairspray and then aerosols are landing on everything. I don't want to have to clean stuff. So what I did, just sort of as an ad hoc sort of thing, I just took this plate over here and moved it over here, and it's sticking just fine. So clearly bed adhesion is the issue. I don't know if it's just a matter of cleaning, because I haven't touched this plate really at all. So I don't know if it's just over time, the amount of prints, because I do most of the prints over here on bed 1. If it's just, it loses adhesion as PLA is deposited and pulled off of it or whatnot. I don't know, maybe you can let me know in the comments. But we're most definitely having success here on our saber-tooth cat skull. It's looking pretty good. No issues with bed adhesion or it pulling off. And at this point, most of the supports have contacted the main part of the model. And so I'm not too concerned about it now. Really, it's just about surface finish. And honestly, it's about filament, because that's the last of the 2 3-kilogram spools of Sunlu PLA, and that's what remains of it. So it's not going to finish with that. And then it means I gotta swap into another type of filament, unless I ordered this by mistake. This is I thought I was getting 1 kilogram spools, but it turned out to be, you ever done that? Ordered something and it turns out to be, let's see, do I have any? Yeah, but this is probably like 250. Might even be 100. What does it say? It's obviously some kind of like a flight of, it's a flight of filament. Yeah, printer filament, 1.75, 8 colors, 0.25. So this is 250 grams. This print was 1,700, I believe. And so I might be able to do it. And what the hell, I might as well throw this in there once that runs out, because what else am I gonna do with a 250 gram spool anyway? It's not like any of my prints ever use that small amount of filament. So gonna let that run out, pop that one in. Hopefully it finishes. The only problem being is that the jaw section, which is the other part of this model, is gonna have to be done in a completely separate type of filament. And so I'm hoping this Rapid PLA Plus isn't too stark of a difference, because I really don't want to paint this model. But if it does, learning experience and whatnot. All right, so let's grab our little shipping supports, put them in our little basket here, and let's go over into Grandma's house and see how it all fits together. All right, and so our PAL sphere in silk came out crispy, clean, and clutch on the A1. I didn't do adaptive layer height on this, so obviously very layer lining on the top, but overall that sheen as compared to the one in matte, much better presentation. Been monitoring the stats pretty closely on this because PAL World had a big update recently. So interest in PAL World is up. So getting some views on that, no sales, obviously, because I'd probably lead with that and be like, I sold one. That'd be probably a better thumbnail. So got that listed on the Etsy yesterday. Additionally, our Charmander that we were talking about yesterday, printed some of the other parts, kind of fit them in, did the tail section in that silk gold sort of PLA there. Kind of a nice touch. Overall, like this model, again, this is a test, sort of the test to hopefully and ideally in the future on the Giga, print it in the big 36-inch size. And by printing the parts separately in the color that they're going to be, I can just snap it together and go. No painting, no, very limited post-production, because I've been using that 2-part spray adhesive, the cyanoacrylate and the activator. You spray it on and, it glues up and bonds within seconds. And so really optimistic about this model moving forward. Haven't done the eyes yet. I have the parts. It's just like they're fit together in sort of an odd way. But overall, it came out pretty good. I'm going to have to do a little something or other with supports on the tail section here. I've also seen other models of this Charmander where he's sitting down, so you have this nice flat surface all the way across, but it kind of has a better vibe sort of when he's standing. You get some extra height out of him. So been gonna be working on that today. And our hideaway thing, our first original idea functional print. Well, I mean, I'm not the first person in the world to come up with the idea, but I did arrive at it independently, and I would tell you if I didn't. So got our air register here, got our box here. This is Mark II with the holes placed where they should be. I'm doing it live. You're gonna see if it works or not. No funny business here. Well, at least in this regard. Look at that, like a glove. Barely any wiggle. Fits right in. Let's see. Hey, look. Wiggle, wiggle. Holes lining up, crispy clean, and perfect on each side. Fantastic. Now, my only one concern, I was thinking about it like, I factored in for 1/2-inch drywall times 2. It's not gonna go all the way through, so it shouldn't be 4 inches deep. It needs to be like 3 1/4 deep. So, hey, I'm right on it. So, I'm 3 1/4 deep here. Well, it says, that's how it says. Well, yeah, it's 3 1/4 deep. This brim is kind of wiggly, and this kind of needs to go in a little bit. So maybe even adjust that down by like 10 millimeters just to compensate for like variances in people's houses or whatever. But this is what people will see. When I ship it, I think what I'm gonna do is just send it along with 4 screws, just 4 regular framing screws. And that way when people get it, They just pop this in their wall after they cut out the hole. They send 4 screws in there and it's secure. There's really no need to add in, I mean, unless you want to, if you've got like some gap between your drywall and this, if you just want to send it down, hold it tight, maybe send along like 4 drywall screws, some of those really, you know, aggressive threaded drywall screws. Kind of as building a concept here, because largely this has been really just prototyping so far. You'd think I would cut, you know, kind of do this first and then cut it together to make it look cleaner, but you know, this is a daily vlog. The editing here is limited. So you got your hidey hole here, and let's say, oh my God, they're raiding the house. Quick, hide the dark chocolate. And then why'd I choose dark chocolate? Why does the brain go there? You open her up, stash your dark chocolate in there, and then you lock it, and then boom, the fuzz will never see it, or the robbers or the bad men, whoever's coming after your dark chocolate. And then open it up, and then further to that, as an added measure, oh my God. So further to that, as an added measure, you got this in, it's all installed. Then what do? Of course, you just go ahead and pop you a little filter in there. And then you put your grill on top. And then if they come by and it's like, wait a minute, I've heard about people hiding things in air vents before. They open up and they see a filter and they're like, guess it's a real thing. And they close it and they don't inspect any further, because that's how it works in my mind. And hopefully the customers too. So that is I'm very optimistic about that. So next step in this process, again, doing dedicated content on it, build a little drywall section and install it and kind of video that. That way I can use that as sort of an instructional thing when I do the listing. Be like, look how easy it is to install. It will require that the customer have like a you know, a drywall saw, one of those little serrated drywall saws, or you know, I've cut holes out of drywall with just a, you know, a box cutter, you know, blade before. You keep going back and forth, and eventually you can pop it through. And that works just fine. You'll need a level, obviously a drill, or if you really hate yourself, you can do it with a screwdriver to install this thing. But that's, you know, that's a pretty simple install. No real heavy duty tools required. So very optimistic about that. And so these are the cardboard flats that I was talking about. They're pretty big. They're like 48 flats. I think they're really intended to sit on pallets to like separate product that's like stacked up on a pallet. They're not particularly thick. But I'm hoping to get around that. Again, I'm just kind of playing around with this. And I know I talk about not doing post-production and things that take a lot of time. Packing takes a lot of time. And so eventually, you know, this is kind of an initial stage thing. And if I get to the point where I'm selling like 10 big things a day, then you just buy the box for it. You know, but at this stage, it's like, you know, we're very few and far between, if ever, for these. And so little ad hoc sort of things like this are a better option, in my opinion, versus going out to Uline and buying a box. Because a box that would fit one of these big gun models, you're talking like probably $10 or $15 for a box like that. And you got to buy at least 25 of them at a time. So, you know, don't want to tie up a few $100s in weird sized boxes for things that might sell. You know, if I sell a couple of them, probably, knowing me, because then I'll justify it and I'll be like, oh, well, you know, that pays for all the boxes, and then moving forward I can offer it at this price and standardize it and know with more precision how much it costs, etc., etc. So what I aim to do today is to just take a blade, run a score down here to where it kind of folds over. I guess we can just kind of like sacrifice this one for the sake of media, because let's be honest here, that's what it's all about. Fold it over like so. And then we take our little doodad here and we fit him in the corner as such, and then we fold up the other side, cut a little score here, and then that way the box can't get crushed. I'll also put one in the middle just to kind of keep it from crushing, and then I'll pack it full of peanuts, that way it won't crush in. And then, you know, probably like hot shot or glue shot. Why do I say hot shot? Probably hot glue these in, or some other kind of affixation to the box itself. Again, not particularly thrilled about making custom boxes for these products, but I really want to get in under that oversized shipping charge, because, you know, it's really down to inches and millimeters and nanometers at this point to try to get that. So optimistic about that. Hopefully that works out. If you've ever done anything like that, where you've 3D printed products as support products for the main 3D products that you're selling, like, you know, because I was thinking like some of these products that I'm, you know, moving, like crypto miner stuff, they're really hard to pack in a box because they're all these weird shapes. They don't really lock together. They don't tessellate. And so my thinking was, it's like, okay, we'll 3D print some kind of jig that holds them all together. That's cheap, you know, and it just holds them in place, and you don't have to use packing material or limited packing material. You can get away with boxes that are maybe not ideal for it in a normal sense. And you 3D print that, and you weigh that cost versus the cost of packing material, so on and so forth. I never really went down that road because ultimately I decided, like, you know, they don't sell enough. But if anyone else has done that, let me know in the comments, because I think that's probably an interesting direction to go. Because, you know, with 3D printers, we have that flexibility to do that sort of thing, to 3D print things to ship our 3D prints. That's what I'm working on today. Let me know what you're working on in the comments below. Be sure to like the video because it's the nice thing to do, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm The Technicals. See you next time.